And I'm going to say they did it voluntarily. They built a fence, they didn't have to. So that kind of boxes in the legal issue.
And I think over the years also, we've tried to cooperate and work with the Raritan's, helped them with the fence, didn't charge them for any assistance that the city employees put the fence up, and continually asked them, and promises been made back that they'll put things on the inside of the fence, and it's just not getting done. And so that's why we're here. And I take it from your position that your client doesn't want to put the items pictured in 1 through 30 on the inside of the fence.
I think they would. I think I can speak for the family, and if they had a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of labor, they'd like to. But right now the notice says 30 days, which is about the 7th of September. And I don't think there's any way they can get all that stuff inside the fence in 30 days.
Well, they've never presented that to us before. I mean, there's been, I think, unofficial promises, maybe sometimes with,
No, he didn't.
maybe Dusty rather than Pauline talking, and I think, if I may, I think on behalf of Ted, he was told by Pauline to talk to her only, and that way there's no confusion, I guess. I'm not sure why, but...
Dusty? I guess my issue with the situation is me speaking for my family. I've been in front of this council before numerous times, and we've made agreements and what needed to be done, and I thought that it ends somewhere, and it hasn't. And if we could just come to some kind of agreement, other than considering that the city wants everything inside of the fence, and we already agreed that that didn't have to happen, and now you're saying it does. How many times do we have to come to the city and make an agreement that you want to break?
Well, I'm not sure, Dusty, what you're talking about.
I've been to the city council meeting, I believe 4 or 5 times, if you look through your meeting minutes, had agreements with the city, this is all we want out of you, this will be it, did it, and they come right back with more. And that's my stand on it, is when are you going to quit?
Well, I guess part of the problem is, Dusty, for example, and I'm not familiar with all the different details, but picture number 1 is a vehicle that used to be at the corner lot at the end of Main Street, or no, maybe at
It's a project, yes.
And then it's been moved now to outside the salvage yard.
It sat at the shop for less than a day before.
That's my third issue, by the way.
Well-
One is outside the salvage yard, but we'll talk.
So I think there are new things, it's not that nothing has...
We're trying to operate it as a business, and you're not letting us operate it as a business. How can we not move things in and out and make money if you're not allowing us to?
Is the phone number for the business in the phone book?
It's under Pauline Reardon, Albert Reardon, it's what the name of the business is.
Resident.
So everybody in the county would know to call the Reardon Salvage by calling the number.
I can give you people outside of the state that have my number, have mom's telephone number, and she gives out my number on top
How
of
many
it.
employees do you have?
It's the Reardon family.
What's the hours of operation?
We have operating hours just like any other business. When we're open, we're open. When we're closed, we're closed.
They have a sales tax permit on file with the state of Iowa, and legitimate business. If you're trying to imply that they're not a business, that would seem to be factual question, but I think the zoning allows...
Maybe a fourth question.
Maybe a fourth question, but yeah. The third...
So why don't you go on with the third?
Okay, third, thanks, Andy. The third is about where some of these vehicles are located, and number 1 photo is a pretty good example. I brought copies of a 1969 case involving the city of Lakeview and Albert and Pauline, where the street where that number 1 car, the number 1 photo, and I'm going to say a lot of these others like 7, 8, 9 are located, was ruled by the judge to be the property of Albert and Pauline, and basically abandoned by the city, and therefore it's their property for use in the salvage yard business. Now, your own code on salvage vehicles makes an exception for any vehicle that is, quote, within a salvage yard, unquote. So these vehicles, like photo number 1 and 789, are within the salvage yard because they're on the Raritan property as ruled by the court in 1969. The question about being inside the fence is back to the other issue, but they are within the salvage yard because they're on their property. So I think trying to declare vehicles a nuisance when the code says in chapter 51, I believe it is, 51.04, provisions of this chapter do not apply to any junk vehicle stored within a salvage yard lawfully operated within the city. And I point out again that the zoning allows this to be industrial, and it's been in business in the city for at least 50 years. So, that's my third issue, but Aaron says maybe the fourth issue would be the question of what? Whether it is a business or not?
Whether they're operating as a salvage yard. I don't know if that's an issue. Before us today is the 30 photos and...
Yeah, I don't know that it's really even a legitimate question because they are a business, they do business, they sell salvage iron and vehicles off of that lot. You know, they've hauled a lot of trailer loads of salvage iron out of there since we last met on this issue in the winters. They sell scrap vehicles and junk iron.
Jim, I don't think we made that an issue for
No,
tonight.
I know, but the mayor was asking some questions, so I'm trying to address that.
Tim?
May I speak to my lawyer, or our lawyer? Alex right there, that's the phone address.
Oh, that's a check for salvage, is it?
Yep.
But they're
Pollock's.
listed under Pollock's in the phone book. They don't have anything more than we do.
Okay.
They live on the premises in Dale, Iowa.
Be able to Steve. Radloff.
Yeah, but we
We're
can
out
be part of
there.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, they run their business under
Robert
this.
and Mary Pollock is the name on it, and they're salvage also.
Yep. And they live right on the premises of their salvage yard. And it's under residential. It doesn't say Pollock salvage or anything.
Yeah, but I don't know, it should say daily basis, but if you're hauling vehicles to salvage scrap like Quan's and other places, aren't you? And I think you had to rush some of the hauling because you were under pressure from the city, and so you tell me you got about half the value on a couple of vehicles? Did you have to get them out of there?
And I believe that the city would probably understand the fact that have we not noticed at least one car that came in and took pictures of it? It wasn't operating business, why would we move it there?
What's that?
Move car number 1, picture number 1, that was moved into there. It wasn't an operating business, why would we haul it into it? It's an antique, salvageable, actually it's a project vehicle.
So see, I think that runs into issue number 2 and number 3 as Jim has classified and specified.
Okay, I'm just saying that if you're saying we're not a business, we're moving things in as well as out.
We didn't say that, that's not on the agenda for tonight, okay?
Does everybody have copies of the zoning map, so you know that it's industrially zoned? Is that, I don't think it's an issue, but, remember who gave me this, but
I'm sure
It's got it.
it's true. It's an industrial.
yeah, in the purple area would be industrial, so as far as lawfully operating in that area, it's obviously an industrial neighborhood. In fact, recently I was up there taking some photos, and the neighboring properties have some scrap iron and things on them too, but that's not the issue tonight. The point is, it's that kind of a neighborhood. It isn't going to change into a residential neighborhood. Industrial. So we have what I believe, in summary, to be a lawful business operating within their boundaries. And the one issue is the fence.